Hi, today is Wednesday, December 2nd. My name is Bob Davis. I'm the pastor here at First Presbyterian Church in Carson City, and these are our midweek announcements. Many of you have read or heard about the Supreme Court decision regarding the number of people allowed in worship that came out of New York City this past week. And I just wanted to take a couple minutes here to work through how we understand this decision and why it isn't necessarily changing the way we are doing things here. The Supreme Court decided that churches ought not be treated differently than other essential businesses, other essential entities, and for that we are grateful. On a legal standing, I think it's very helpful to know that the Supreme Court will stand by the First Amendment and that we will be able to understand that we have that protection under the Constitution. That said, the virus isn't a legal entity, and what the Supreme Court says isn't necessarily the determining factor for what we do here. Just as the governor's proclamations have not been the determining factor for what we've done here, we have acted here as a family that is called to bear witness to who God is in our community. And so that's always going to be a balance of supporting and praying for our government leaders whom God has put in this place to make decisions for this time. So we pray for them. At the same time, we have been making decisions about what happens in worship here based on the information available to us here. All of our decisions have been made locally. They have been made by the session about when and how we are going to open and or restrict worship. And so while the Supreme Court decision is a good thing and encouraging for churches, it isn't a determinant that we're going to throw caution to the wind regarding the virus and just simply open things up. The truth of the matter is that the virus has come into our house. For the first 8 months, really, we had very limited number of cases here in Carson. That has changed dramatically over the last couple of weeks, and certainly past Thanksgiving, we have seen the increase in numbers and the rate of hospitalizations and things like that have gone way up. And so we are continuing in the pattern of no more than 50 here in the sanctuary and no more than 50 in other places. And I'm going to talk about this in a minute, that we're moving for the next 2 Sundays from the Family Life Center into the fellowship hall where we have the pastor's study. We're going to do that, and so that number is going to be even more restricted. We have not been pressed on numbers coming in, and to the extent that we are able to encourage you to watch and participate via the live stream, we want to do that to keep the numbers down. My impression, not scientific, not any way expert, but my impression is that we're looking basically at a 7-week window where this bump is going to really have an impact on what we do here locally. And so for these 7 weeks into basically the middle of January, we're looking to minimize the physical contact and the physical risk, while at the same time continuing to do mission and ministry in a way that is faithful to the call that God has given us. So we're doing the best we can in a circumstance where things change daily and often within the day. We're going to ask for a little grace. This is going to be a Christmas season like none other. And I think we all know that, and I think we've all kind of been gearing up for it, but there we are. So for the next 7 weeks, things are going to look a little different, just how we do things. The most obvious way you're going to notice that is that a lot of the elements of our worship service are going to be pre-recorded. That's the safest way we can have people participate to the extent that we can in a manner that is safe for them. And so we're going to be doing the Advent candle lighting, the call to worship here in the sanctuary by pre-record. We're going to do a lot of the vocal music via pre-record. The people here in the sanctuary on Sunday morning will be able to sing, but they'll be singing along with a pre-recorded piece. Those of you who are at home will be seeing the exact same thing. The sermon and the instrumental pieces we're going to try and do live simply because it is the live experience. It is the way we can perform our liturgy and our service before God in a way that is meaningful here in the sanctuary, but also would be meaningful at home. So just to sum up, we're going to try and keep as many of the safe individual person pieces live and as many of the group things pre-recorded as we can. That said, it could change any moment. So we're going to ask that you be flexible, you have an understanding that we're piecing this together as best we can. Which leads me to the Night Off the Streets, the warming shelter. Many of you received the email or certainly have heard that there was an asymptomatic volunteer at the church previously hosting the overnight, and they shut it down that night, and has not reopened. We were supposed to begin hosting last night, and that did not happen. We are looking and gathering information, talking to the CDC and the health department with the idea that if we can answer some questions and get enough information to make a good informed choice, we're looking to be able to open here Saturday night. And then we would have it for the remainder of the time that we were initially scheduled to have it. And so it would be basically from Saturday night through the 14th. The information we're basically looking at is that we're going to cordon off the Family Life Center. And we want to make sure from the best information that we can find that if those doors are not breached, if the protocols remain followed, that the rest of the building would not be contaminated even if someone were to enter the Family Life Center asymptomatically. If we were to discover, like they did at the Lutheran Church, that somebody had come in who was testing positive later, the rest of the building would not be subject to contamination. Second thing we want to know from our experts is what risk is really posed to the volunteers and to the participants in the event that our protocols are followed, that the Knott's protocols put in place are followed. And the information we have preliminary right now is that given the protocols with mask and face shield and other things, it would require being in the presence of somebody who is positive for 15 minutes within that 6-foot range for 15 minutes in a 24-hour period. That's a little bit complicated, but the point is that the risk, if we follow the protocols, is minimal. And this morning I saw on the news that it read here in Carson City 17 degrees. I think it's important, and I'm standing behind our decision to go forward with the warming shelter because I think we need to see the people who are really in a life-threatening situation by being outside overnight and doing what we can to help. It is obviously entering any kind of an environment where there are multiple people, particularly people you don't know, poses a risk. It does, and I'm cognizant of that. That said, the only people who are going to be here as the staff portion of the warming shelter are those who are volunteering for it. We're not requiring anyone to come and be a part of it. And so we want to be faithful, and we want to be looking to see others how God sees them. And so where we can, we want to be reaching out. And so we'll have more information. I mean, it's Wednesday. We're talking about opening Saturday. We're hoping to have more information so that we can make an informed announcement about that, so that we can be as confident as we can that we're doing things as safely as we can. On Sunday, it is the first Sunday of the month, and so it is a Communion Sunday, and we intend on serving communion and celebrating communion the same way we have for the last couple of months, which is gloves, masks, and we will bring the elements to those of you who are here in the sanctuary. For those who are going to be in the fellowship hall, the elements will be there. For those of you watching the live stream, we're going to encourage you to have the elements prepared at home. And that way we will be able to celebrate together at the point of the live stream through that service. And so we want to, again, provide as much measure of safety as we can, understanding there is a risk attendant anytime you're with other people outside of your own household. One other announcement from our Life of Faith is Tony Boudreau's service is tomorrow, Thursday at 11 a.m. here in the sanctuary. We don't anticipate a large crowd because of COVID, but Tony was an important part of this congregation, and it's important to Renee, his daughter, that we be able to celebrate together as a family and remember Tony and give thanks to God for his life. Tomorrow at 11. We are in December, which means it is time to talk about year-end giving. In the trumpet that is coming to you, there is a note about year-end giving. If you are planning on making your giving in December and you would like that donation credited for the calendar year 2020, your gift must be in the church offering by the morning of Sunday, December 27th, or postmarked by Thursday, December 31st, 2020. And as the note that Charlene put in the trumpet says, we do thank you for your giving. It has been an enormous testimony, both internally and externally, that we have been able to sustain ministry and mission through this pandemic, through these coming up on 9 months and we'll be moving into the 10th month by that point. And that we've been able to sustain our mission giving fully to those that we support. That's an incredible testimony to your faithfulness, and we are grateful to God for providing us with the means to be able to do that. So thank you for your continued giving. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you for your prayers. Just last note is the note that we are making each week, which is that particularly as we come into the Christmas season and realize that it is not going to be like any other and that people are isolated, please take the time to make an extra phone call, send an extra email or a text, check in with people. This is stressful and it's hard. And so as you are able, please connect with each other. And if you need help, if there's someone you know who needs help, please give us a call at the office and let us know. So those are our midweek announcements. We pray for God's blessing on each and every one, and we look forward to seeing you either in person or via the live stream on Sunday. Take care and God bless.